Top of the morning to you, boys and girls. Oh, I have a box of cereal here? Yeah, I was going to eat a snack. It's not snack time?
Yes, it is snack time.
It is? Well, it's always snack time for you. Well, I have this snack here, or this box of cereal. Some of you might have seen this. Well, I'm not Irish, but just a couple of days ago, we celebrated, or people have celebrated, a special holiday that some people who are Irish celebrate. Does anyone know what that is?
Yeah.
It's St. Patrick's Day. So if you said that, you're right.
She pressed your
Well,
thing.
That's why I have these green things here. See? There's a lot of green things. I was trying to find all the things in our Sunday school that had some things that are green. Anyway, St. Patrick was actually a real man. Did you know that? He was a real man. He lived a long time ago. And he was a missionary that worked to bring Christianity to the people in Ireland. And that's actually a really amazing and pretty interesting story, but I'm not going to tell that story today. But what I am going to tell you is that Ireland is a country that has a lot of green in it. It's very beautiful. If you look at pictures online of pictures of Ireland, a lot of times they have big, you'll see lots of areas with lots of really nice dark green grass. And it's really pretty. And they also have some interesting traditions like leprechauns, like this guy over here. Leprechauns and fairies and shamrocks. Okay, if you look in your neighborhood, maybe some people who are Irish that live in your neighborhood, you might see things like that. And these shamrocks are called clovers. And sometimes those things are called lucky. Now, some people say that if you find a clover that has 4 leaves on it and not 3, well, then you're really lucky if you find that. And some people say that other things are lucky. Do you want to hear some other things that people say are lucky?
Yes.
Yeah? Well, sometimes people say that if you rub a rabbit's foot, you'll have good luck. Isn't that silly? And some people say that if you're walking down the street and you find a penny on the ground, it's good luck, right? And then there are some people who say that if you see something, it might actually be bad luck. So some people will say, let's say, if you walk under a ladder, that's bad luck. Or if you break a mirror, that's bad luck. Now, those are kind of some traditions that people say. And sometimes that can make people a little nervous, like if they see a black cat going around and they, oh, there's the black cat just crossed the street, and it might make them feel a little, But do you think that that's true? Is there such a thing as good luck and bad luck? No. Well, if you said no, then you're right. You know that God loves you so much that he wouldn't just let things happen just because, right? He wouldn't just let things that are good or bad happen just because. He doesn't want you to be afraid, and he doesn't want you to be worried. He wants us to trust him because he is always in charge, right? So even when things are not so great, God is in charge. And when things are really great, God is still in charge. Can you say that with me? God is in charge. Can we say it again? Ready? God is in charge. That's right. So I'm going to tell you a story today. And the Bible tells us that he takes care of us no matter what. And I'm going to tell you a story today that we find in the Bible. Okay? And I found this, there's a couple places in the Bible, but I found this, I was reading about this in the book of Mark. And this is a story that maybe some of you are familiar with. Now, if you see this here, there's a big ocean here, okay? And one day, Jesus was with his disciples. And they had been working really hard. Jesus was ministering to people, and he was very tired, and he was very hungry. And there was nowhere to go because everybody would follow Jesus around. So he was like, let's get in a boat and let's just go out in the water so we can get some rest. So Jesus and the disciples went out on a boat, and Jesus went down and took a much needed nap. Some of you need to take a good nap too, right? Otherwise you get grumpy. Sometimes I need to take a nap because sometimes I feel like I'll be grumpy. But anyway, so he said, let's go all the way to the other side of the lake. I'm going to go take a nap. And so that's what they did. And all of a sudden, what happened? What does that look like? A big storm came out of nowhere. And lightning and thunder and the clouds started coming in and it started to get really loud and the wind was blowing and then the waves started coming. Look at these waves. That's gonna make the boat go over, right? Really scary. And the wind started getting really, really strong and the disciples were running around trying to get water out of the boat because there were so many big waves and the waves were getting into the boat and all the water was coming and the disciples started to get really scared and they're throwing off all their water out of their stuff and it's getting all, they're getting all upset. And they started to call for Jesus, Jesus, Jesus! But you know, it was so loud, the wind, they couldn't hear. Jesus couldn't hear, he was sleeping. And finally they went down and, Master, Master, is what they called Jesus. And this is, I'm going to read what it said. They said, Jesus, don't you care if we die? Because that's how bad the storm was. They thought they were going to die. Don't you care if we die? And Jesus opened up his eyes and he looked at them. And he looked and he got up out of the boat. He wasn't afraid. He got up. And you know what Jesus did? Jesus stood up and all he said was, peace, be still. And do you know what happens? Just like that, the water and the storm were gone and everything was still. And the disciples looked at Jesus. Whoa, who is this man that even the wind and the waves and the storm obey him? And the disciples learned a very important lesson that day. They learned that they could trust Jesus. And no matter how big of a storm was all around them, they didn't have to be afraid because God was in charge. And you know what? Right now, there are a lot of people that are kind of scared and worried like the disciples. And you know what? It's always a good idea to wash our hands, right? We should be washing our hands and we should be careful when we're around people. We want to stay healthy, right? But God doesn't want us to walk around in constant terror about what might happen. We have to put our faith in him. We know that God is in charge and he's going to take care of us. And Jesus defeated evil. He defeated death. When we talk about Easter, you're going to know, if you remember that story. And so we don't have to worry too much. Okay? Know that Jesus cares for you and that his will is perfect. So I want to say a prayer with you boys and girls. And you boys and girls at home, I want you to repeat after me, okay? So we're going to close our eyes and we're going to fold our hands and we're going to pray. Dear God,
dear God,
thank you for being in charge in all things.
thank you for being in charge of all things.
Help me to put my trust and hope in you.
Help me to put my trust and hope in you.
Help me not to fear, but to love.
Help me not to fear, but to love.
Thank you for your love.
Thank you for your love.
We love you, God.
We love you, God.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, boys and girls. See you later.